Girls, girls, and bypass. This is my two. We got the Santa Claus movie. Bernard the elf. Mail. Sorry, I do this. Mail. Reader short story. Part 1. This is going to be the new story. Hope you guys enjoy. In an hour, Toy thought, looking at the snow globe. Where are they now? Toy asked the snow globe, looking at it. The snow globe started to shake. Toy looked at Bernard walking into the house of Scott. Toy saw the kids. Bernard found him. Toy kept looking. He was the creator of the toy soldiers and the toy Santas. He was worried that Bernard won't find Scott in time. Come on, Bernard, Toy said, looking in the snow globe. Find him. Bernard knocked on the door and Scott opened it. Hello. Toy had a speaker to connect it to the snow globe, hearing what Scott and Bernard were talking about. I need your help, Bernard said. What do you need help with? Scott said, you need to come back as Santa Claus. We'll try anything to get you back as Santa Claus, said Bernard, looking at Scott. I can't, you know. There's danger in our way. Bernard said, looking at Santa, superior Santa. Please come. Scott looked at Bernard. Next thing you know, the sun. Wait, I gotta pause there for a second. And showing his tooth. Look, I have my tooth out, said Charlie. Oh no, Toy looked to the side. Now Toothbird is going to get involved. Toy looked into its tailpiece guardian form. What are you going to do now? He asked the guardian himself. What do you mean? The Toother is going to get involved. The guardian of himself roared in anger. Why him? Toothberry and Jack had complications with Toy's guardian self. Toy side by her being coming from his bedroom door. Oh no, they're here. Tony tried to go in hiding, but he was stuck into place. What are they going to do? Toy thought, looking at the door slamming open, almost hit him for how half the door had swinged open. Look, Master, come with us. Toy Santa said, looking at him. I'm not coming with you. Toy said, looking at Toy Santa in the eyes. The toy soldiers grabbed him fiercely, holding him in place. They have to slap you into commission, Toy Santa said, knocking Toy out. Before he went out, he whispered something. But Toy Santa didn't care. He walked back to the sleigh and got Toy into it. The reindeer were nervous, thinking that the master that trained them Toy would be alright. He was part of the reindeer gang. Toy was knocked out pretty well. When they started to head out to the toy Santa knew to deliver the presents as well as to hide Toy in a river or lake where no one can find him. Meanwhile, Scott and Bernard and Charlie and the Toothberry and Carla have finally made it to the North Pole. Once they got there, the elves were panicking, seeing that Toy had been captured by Toy Santa, and that they were heading off somewhere. And Toy Santa had plans to hide Tony from everyone. Something about dropping him somewhere and hoping he will die. Bernard running into the area where the reindeer are, with Scott following behind, knowing that they had to go save him. Once they got there, Toy Center was halfway in the sky. Scott looked at Bernard, trying to get onto the reindeer. I got this, Scott said, smiling. If I'm going to be a Santa, I have to help my elves. Scott smiled, hopping on one of the reindeer that was left behind, and heading out to go save Toy. Once he had finally got there, Toy was still knocked out. Scott and Toy Center were flying. When they looked down, Toy was falling from the sleigh. Scott finally Toy Santa off and went to dive after Toy, watching as the young elf fell from the sky. Toy Santa was now back in commission, but the sleigh kicked him out and landed in the water, decommissioning him for good. Sleigh followed Scott into the commission to catch Toy from the great fall he was commencing. Scott finally got to reach the Toy, but it was too fast and too far. One of the rangers was also following the flight. Grabbed Scott and then tried to grab Tony as well. When the sleigh finally catch the Toy and landed back into the North Pole. Scott smiled, looking at Toy and laying there in the sleigh. Bernard running and looking at him. I'm sorry. Bernard looked at Toy, thinking he was dead. One of the doctors and nurses of the elves ran into the start doing medical attention on Toy. They knew he was not dead. He was just knocked out pretty good. They started to fix the bleeder from the head plaque that the toy Santa had created on his head. Maybe that would stop make him up. Once that was done, Toy's eyes started to flicker open, and he looked at Scott and Bernard and smiled. Thank God you two are back home. Toy said, smiling, looking at them. I thought this would be the end of me. Scott laughed. If that means you falling from the 5 feet in the sky, waiting for the sleigh to catch you, then yeah, that would have been the end of you. Scott made a joke, then got slapped by Carla. Don't worry, Carol said. Everything's going to be alright. Carol smiled, looking at the elf. Well, it's nice to meet you, Sydney, Mrs. Claus. Carol looked at him. Nice to meet you as well, Mr. Tony. Carol said, smiling. Tony smiled, high-fiving Bernard. Well, I have some business to take care of, looking at the tooth that magically showed up. Turning into his tail beast form, he started attacking the Tooth Fairy. Tooth Fairy, now knowing what he had done wrong, showing up in the wrong time, and finally figures what really has happened. He had now knew that he should not come at this time. What did he do? Charlie asked. Oh, it's just a rivalry with those two, Scott said, looking at those two fighting and arguing with each other. Bernard smiled, laughing, pulling a chocolate. Don't eat chocolate, Bernard said, smiling and seeing the Kesme fox running into him and tackling him on the ground. Yay, gimme, he said, taking the chocolate and posting on top of Bernard, even though he tackled him to the ground. Thank you, he said, eating the chocolate completely gone. Blueberry took the tooth and disappeared after that. Didn't want to get attacked again. Well, that was something. Bernard looked at Scott. Looks like you're now Santa again. Scott looked at himself, now back to Santa Claus. I guess so, he said, smiling. Tony sighed happily, kissed Bernard on the cheek, and then the lips. It's good to have you back in my life, Bernard. It's good to have you back as in my life as well, Bernard said, smiling. Toy sighed, returned back the toy soldiers to go back to their places. Once they did, Toy smiled, knowing that that was done. How the Carl looked at him. It's your fault, he said. Carl sighed, going to the corner, something that Toy trained him to do. I'm sorry, Carl said. I should have listened to you. And how many ways have I told you never to use my work? Tony said, sighing, shook his head, seeing Bernard's chest. In so many ways, Carl said, now understanding why he should not use Toy's gadgets. Tony smiled, watching as Bernard picked him up off of him. What? Tony said, looking at Bernard. Your tails are making me look funny. Tony sighed, turning back into himself. Is that better? He said, looking at Bernard, smiling. Yes. It's better to have you and my little Casper in two different places. Bernard said, smiling, and looking at him. I love you, Tony said, smiling. I love you too. Bernard and Tony had finally had a deep kiss, looking into each other's eyes. Scott smiled and looked at Carl. I love you, Scott said. I'm sorry I didn't tell you this when I first brought you here. It's fine, Carol said, smiling. Knowing that you needed me to become Santa again, I understand, Carol said, smiling. Tony smiled, looking at him, and gave him a thumbs up. Good for you, sir, he said, smiling. The young guy, Mrs. Claus, he said, laughing and watching as Scott got angry and started chasing him. I'm sorry, sir, I didn't mean to. Scott laughed and hugged him. It's just good that you're alive, and not the other, Scott said, smiling. You're like an older son to me, and I never thought I'd ever say that. Scott said, smiling, hugging him again. I'm sorry, sir, I never thought that you'd ever see me like that. Tony said, smiling, but I see you as a father figure, sir. Bernard smiled, knowing that Tony had a father figure in his life, something that he never had. You're welcome. Now let's get going inside, everyone, after I deliver those presents. Scott said, smiling and going to deliver the presents. Hope you guys have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Peace out, Hero Squad.